And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back into the Dragon's Den. My name's Digital Dragon. I'm a 3D printing variety streamer here on Twitch. And that means we do everything from machine unboxings like our X1 Carbons over here to full 3D printer builds like our Vorons, the LH Stinger, beta testing like the box turtles and various hot ends that I've beta tested over the years. So yeah, that's a little bit of a nutshell. Welcome on in. Hey, Mr. Wizix. Welcome in, Cruiser Girl. How's it going? How's it going? Hope everyone's doing well this morning. The plan is to continue on the journey for the Ender 3 NG. We're going to keep trying to make as much progress as we can. Hey, Shrimp Father, welcome on in, Martin. Lurking at work, sounds great. And as you see, we are wearing the coffee and lube shirt because we will be doing some lubing today. I did make the decision this morning, for whatever reason, I still had my alarm set for 7 a.m. from the show. So I got up early. Excuse me. And made the decision that I will go ahead and clean the bearings. Kind of a good thing I did. After setting them in some isopropyl alcohol for about half an hour, when I was pulling them out of the alcohol and just shaking them off, I was hearing the ball bearings actually slap around inside the channels. So it did tell me there was a little bit of some type of lubricant in there that we did clean up and get rid of. So right now they are sitting down in one of the Centauri Carbons with a bed sitting at 60C. The bed had been sitting at 60C and apparently shut off. So we'll add that, kick that back in there for a little bit longer. And it's just going to help dry the IPA off. The IPA is going to flash off anyhow, but just adding a little bit of heat helps. And then what we'll do is we'll, before the stream ends, even if we haven't reached the point where we need the bearings for the gantry, we will go ahead and pack those bearings just so that they're not just plain steel balls sitting there with no protection on them whatsoever. Okay. And with that, let's just take a look where we left off on the stream. So this is oh, dang it. There you go. This is about as far as we got. This is just a mock-up for right now. This is where we got. We got the front done. We've got our front two lead screws installed with our belt. And if we can get our belt in the right spot on both of these pulleys, then I will be able to pull, and both of our lead screws are now synchronized and moving synchronously. And that's what we're basically looking for, and that's what we're designing. Now, what I was doing here was mocking up this front piece. And the reason I was doing that, or excuse me, the rear piece, is the 3D printed parts, these little spacers that we had to print, they're 10 millimeters, okay? And we had already determined that this piece is 343 millimeters. And what we really need total is 350. So if we use the parts they're asking for here, we're adding 20 millimeters onto 343, which is 363 millimeters. So if we just put these in here as the mock-up, put our end pieces in place, and we'll set that gap there, we'll bring this up, you'll see that there's a gap here, pretty significant gap. So these holes are not going to line up, which means our side rails aren't going to line up. So I I don't know, did some math in my head and said, well, if this is 343 and the overall length needs to be 350, that means I'm missing what? 7 millimeters. So why do you provide these and list these as the ones if you're doing an Ender 3v2? So we're going to toss those, and I did a pair at 3.5 millimeters. So we'll put these in place, get our side pieces in line here. And now if I bring this in, yep, that's what we needed. And everything now lines up. So that's going to be a point of feedback is you may need to resize your pieces just in the Z to make up the distance of your 40/40 extrusion that you have. So that was just the one thing that I realized probably needed to be done. So I did that late last night. Let me jump over here to our instructions. And like I said, this is where we basically left off and where we're going to get started this morning. Hey, Happy, how's it going? So in this case, it's referring to the base printer if it's an Ender 3, which would have a 2040 y-axis. This is not us, so I'll scroll through this section. Base printer is an Ender 3 V2. That's what we have. And once again, you'll notice here that it says the V slot is 343 millimeters, which is what this V slot is. And the two printed parts that go on either side is a 10 millimeter spacer. Once again, 10 and 10 is 20. Add that to 343, that gives you 363. It's way too big. They actually just need to be 3.5 millimeters, and that's what we just discussed. So we need to adapt the length of our 40/40 extrusions to be 350, measure the length of your extrusion. Based on that, adjust the 40/40 spacers according to in the slicer. And that's what we just did. Now what we need to do is find the exact center. Okay, we need to find the exact center and then pick which side is going to be where. This is the ugly side, but I think if we put it towards the inside, it may be visible. So I'm going to put this towards the outside, which means this should be covered up potentially by our rear panel, and if not, it's going to be in the back side of the printer and not visible. Yes, I could probably turn it like this. Then I'll have, you know, the worst side would be down at the bottom. Actually, I think that's what I'll do. I'll do it like that with the worst side facing downward, and that gives us the nicest extrusions that I have on here to look at. But what we need to do is find the exact center of this piece so that we can put a mark here, and that's going to be critical for lining up our third z-axis point here that we're going to be working with. So let me find the center point here. And what I'm going to do is grab my two ends here, which will give me my 350. We'll grab our ruler here. This is going to allow me to get everything lined up. Just for hitting 350. And what that's going to allow me to do, I'll actually set this on top. We'll go this way. Because we need to make a mark at 175. Which is half of 350. How are you doing today? Happy? And I'm making my mark here with black Sharpie. You will be able to see it as it reflects with the light, but it's not going to be completely, totally visible, we'll say. And what that's going to allow me to do is identify the center point. It'll allow me to identify the center point of my bracket. And what we're going to do is there's a little notch right there on this piece here. That notch is going to line up with that mark that we just made. So it'll basically go just like that. And that will give us the right position for this mount. And I'm going to move this off the table for the time being. You're pseudo lurking. Okay. You got me up on the big TV. That's cool. Awesome. So we've got our corner piece here. The orientation is not important. We just need to make sure that we've got that marking in place. And we're marking it at the top front edge. Now, here's if we're using the printed verticals, which we're not. So we'll skip through this section. Sorry, I just realized I'm not showing you. So we'll skip through this section until we get to the ultimate frame. There we go. 2040 upgrade, which would just be the rear ones, or the ultimate, which would be the rear and the front ones. All right, we're going to need several tools. We'll need a 3 and 4 millimeter Allen key. We'll need some of our M5x12s and 5x20s, some washers, V-slot extrusion, yada, yada, yada. So what we're going to start with, and we need to kind of understand what we're working with here. We're working with the left side. Okay. The left side. And we need the left side piece, which will be one of our side pieces here. Now, remember on our side pieces, we did the holes in our vertical, and this will be for the front piece. So that needs to be on the outside. So this would be the left side. Okay. We're going to take our 3D printed piece here. We've got these recessed holes on this side. And then the other holes are all flat and flush. So we're going to take these two holes here first. And we're going to mount it to the end of this, making sure that our other two holes for the vertical are on the outer edge and at the opposite end from the piece that we're putting in. So we're going to need some 5x12s. We'll go ahead and grab 4 of them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop these down in there. There's no requirement for washers on this side. So we're going to put those down in there and get this lined up. And we'll use an M4 to get this going. Now, what you can do, if you've got a liquid Loctite, you can drop some Loctite in the extrusion when you go to do this. So that way you can get some Loctite on there, but not necessarily impact your ABS or ASA parts. And I really need to use a ball end driver. So bear with me. I'm going to run downstairs and grab my ball end drivers. Okay. And as always, we want to do this down on a flat surface so that we make sure that everything stays flat. And we also want something as a backer on here to make sure that we are lined up front to back as well as top and bottom as we tighten this down. Okay, so this is the one side. We'll go ahead and do the other side. Once again, looking for our 2 holes that we drilled earlier to make sure that they're on the outer edges at the opposite end of where we're getting ready to put our screws in. Hey Layers, how's it going, Larry? Hope you're doing well. How's it going, Timor? Oh, come on, you. What is going on there? Ah, well, I'll be. These are not drilled and tapped. One side was, on all of them. This piece is not tapped on either side. So we need to tap this one. Dang. That, I wish I had noticed that before. Because we're going to need to solve that problem before we go too far. Tap. So we have a drill style tap and we have a hand tap that we can use. My drill style taps, I think, are downstairs in the garage. Where's my tap handle? Where'd my tap handle go? That's interesting. I guess I will be running downstairs to the garage to get the tap and the tap handle and the cutting fluid so I can tap these threads. I will be right back momentarily. Hmm. All right. So I don't see my tap handle, which is not a big deal. So we will tap with the drill. Just means we need to clamp some things down as we go to do this. You don't want our things going flying as we're tapping. We will grab our garbage can to make sure that anything that we do send flying is captured. Go slow when you do this. Okay. Last thing you want to do is break a tap. I've done it. It sucks. I think I have a tap extractor somewhere, depending on where you break your tap. And also, if you've got a decent little tap kit, which this is, So on your drill style, they've got the drill flute, so this will drill and tap at the same time, but you want to make sure that your holes are decently sized before you start, because if they're too small, you're going to wind up breaking something. So we'll go ahead and pre-drill these to get them to the right size. We are going to use some thread tapper as I drill and as I tap, definitely. I use some Tap Magic. No affiliate code there, just it works. Oh, wow. Never mind, they're already sized. So I just put oil on a drill bit that I didn't need. That's cool. We'll wipe it back off. Ad's starting already? Goodness gracious, Twitch. Just going to make sure that your drill is in drill mode. Put some oil on your tap. Make sure you're going straight. And then also pay attention as you're tapping. If you go past the tap, the cutting edges of your tap, you will break your tap, which will lead to a bad day. So fresh cutting oil. Hold that end. And I just broke that tap because I was not aligned straight up and down. Because I'm trying to keep this at a, regardless. I broke a tap. So we'll need to fix that. Luckily, it broke with a good portion extending out the edge. So I'll just be able to grab it with my pliers and should be able to twist it back out. Hopefully. Either with a set of pliers or a set of whatchamacallit, vice grips, one or the other. The good news is I buy these in packs, so when I bust them like this, I just need to grab a new one and keep going. And as I start getting down, I will go ahead and swap over to, or not swap over, but I'll order another set. They're relatively cheap. I am not buying the, severely high quality taps for the amount of extrusion that I wind up tapping. Oh. Uh-oh, Raiders already? Right in. Hey, same old Shane. How's it going? Welcome on in. Thank you for the raid. I was trying to figure out why I couldn't screw the end piece on this, and then I realized it's because I don't have tapped holes. So I'm trying to tap my holes real fast. And, tapping holes on camera during a live stream, I just snapped a tap. So I will grab another one out. I don't know what they pack these things in, but it's nasty. Another reason why you got to put oil on these, otherwise you will definitely snap tap. And I'm actually going to drop this clutch down from drill mode just so hopefully I don't bust this tap this time, and I'll try and stay nice and straight on it. And I do have a garbage can down here. Some more oil on it. We'll go over to the next one. And of course, the key when you're tapping is to make sure that you stay in a direct line with it. The hold straight part is hard when it hits us. Exactly. So you got to do your best to hold it straight to prevent it from twisting, because as soon as you put some angle on this, you're going to snap that bit. What I just did there was actually turn the speed down some, which will allow me to have a little bit more control over it. Let me knock all the shards out. All right, one set. Now we'll flip this around. We'll cinch this back down, and we'll do the other side. And we'll just keep rinsing and repeating with 4 holes, so they should all be pre-drilled. Appear to be. We'll double check. They were all pre-drilled to the right size. Now we're just going to add some cutting fluid and do 4 more holes. Don't give in to the temptation not to put cutting fluid on between holes. And be careful when you're adding, or when you're drilling or cutting tapping threads near the holes that we had drilled before. You might have some swarf in there from cutting the holes. That's why I did go through it with the drill, just to try and clean out any chips or swarf that was still hanging there. You were tempted to put a raid message of, we broke our taps, but yeah, it's okay. Yeah, like I said, I buy them fairly cheap and I buy them in bulk because I know I'm going to bust a tap here or there. So and then worst case scenario, I do have the hand tap. I just need to find my handle for it. So that would be our last resort tap. A little bit higher quality tap too. Last hole. All right. This is our last hole. We'll try and wipe that tap down. Get as many of the burrs off the tap threads as possible. That back in here for the next go around. Actually, let me put this drill bit in there as well since it's the proper size for pre-drilling. Okay. Drill goes there. Tapping and tapping paraphernalia will go elsewhere. And I will put you all on mute real fast while I run down and wash my hands because now I've got cutting oil all over my hands. Let me put these back in order. Bear with me. I'm going to put you guys on. Be right back real fast. Or actually, I'll leave you here. I'll just mute my mic. Hey, Projects and Dad's Garage. How's it going? Yeah, McMaster sells decent taps. Gotcha. You do the extrusions too. Dawn dish soap makes them sparkle. Oh, nice. Nice. All right. I will be right back. Like I said, I'm going to mute my mic before I head down there. Okay, and we are back. Let's do that. Let's grab this and put this away. All righty. Mrs. Dragon should be coming back soon with a cup of coffee. All righty. So we've got it marked. We have them drilled out, and we're now going to make sure that we're lined up once again with the holes that we drilled through the top at the opposite end and on the outer edges. That way, when we add this with our screws now, we should be able to, yes, it's going on the inside. We'll get these started. And once again, we're going to make sure that we're down on the flat surface. We use another flat surface on the inside to push it in. That way we know that we're down and butted up against the edge so that we've got a nice straight, we'll say joint or connection there. So we're trying to build as straight as possible. If we build as straight as possible, then hopefully when we go to do our measurements with our gantry, we'll be nice and squared up. All right, so here's our left, here's our right. Now what's up next in our instructions? We're going with our left frame. This will be our left frame. This will be the right frame. We'll just scoot that off for the time being. And this is our rear piece. This is the left piece. It's going to kind of be going on there like this. Okay. And so what we need to do is bring 4 M5 by 20 button head screws with some M5 washers. Some 5 by 20 button heads. So we'll have 4 of those. 4 of our M5 washers. Hey, Daddy Wazzy, how's it going? We're just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Those over there for the next one. Now, once again, where is our mark? There is our mark, right? It's going to be hard to tell from that smaller view. But in looking at our diagram, this red circle denotes our mark. So it needs to be on the inside of this joint. Okay. And yeah, we're going to bring this piece in here. We're going to bring these screws in this way. Don't forget our little spacer that we need to have. I'm going to put the nice corner of the spacer facing the back. So we'll just set that down in there. We're going to bring our screw through this hole, through the spacer, and into our piece here. And we're not going to screw it all the way down. We're going to leave a gap. And doesn't need to be a huge gap, but we're going to leave a little bit of a gap. And the reason we're doing that is because we're going to slide our vertical down here, and that's going to give us the, I don't know why I'm yelling. That's going to give us our our blind joint. And once again, keeping everything down nice and flat on our flat surface will ensure that our bottom is flat and hopefully square. The other nice thing about having a surface like this is when you're doing these screws down here, you can come directly in from the side and ensure that everything is nice and straight as you're screwing these in. Just makes it a little bit easier. And the reason we're putting washers on here is the washers will give you a little bit added purchase on the inside of the 2040 extrusion when we put it in. So we've got these 4 in and set up. Now we need 2 more, and we're going to go in from this direction. West 3D 4-year birthday sale this weekend. Nice, Mr. Wizix. And yes, so thank you for the bang, West 3D, because there is an affiliate link. If you use that affiliate link, I believe during the sales, and if this is your first purchase with them, you will get the 5% off the order, or the additional 5% off the order. And by using that affiliate code, I'll get a little bit of recognition with West 3D. And for those of you that don't know, I mentioned it on the last stream, I believe. Daniel McKay, who's the owner of West 3D, stopped by my booth after the drag racers on day 2 and was looking at the Rift 600 and told me that he will make me a custom plate for that. I'm just going to kind of do that down at an angle that should help all of those washers go up against the heads of the bolts, which should hopefully make this next part easier. So we've got that done. We're going to take our upright. Now remember when we drilled our uprights, we've got the ends with the 4 screws through them, and then the ends with the with the holes. So that's the end that we want to slide down here, because these are going to be the holes that we'll put our driver through to tighten down these screws that we just put in place. And this is going to slide down. This is going to slide down. Apparently I've got a very, very tight tolerance there. Come on. This would be why they said check your mating surfaces. Come on, darn you. Aggressive? Nope. I am a little tight there. I may have to shave off this inner edge some. Yeah, because I am tight. Should have checked that beforehand. We'll check that on the other side before we do anything. Going on this side is going to be the easier of the two to file down. All the way tight. I had checked my XY, whatchamacallit, compensation and shrinkage. But this is a super duper tight fit. Super duper tight fit. That's not knocking down very easily. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to take this, at least these two out, so I can come down and we'll open up these parts just a little bit. There's no sense in trying to force it and breaking it. That just would be bad. Oh yeah, that's already got a couple there. So we're just going to file this down. Like I said, we should be fine to do this. There's nothing visible on this piece here anyhow. It's going to be covered up by that extrusion. Dang. That is just still super duper tight. Now you want a robot? Yeah, no kidding, right? In this case, the issue is the gap between the two sides, not necessarily the face. It's just the gap between the two sides. It's not allowing it to slip down in there. So we'll just keep working on the two side faces. Like I said, I did do shrink, XY shrink compensation and stuff like that. So I don't know why we're having this much of an issue, but it is also, well, these are not creality. Well, I don't know what I don't know what was I going to say? Not the prodigy, but yeah, I don't know the provenance of this extrusion because this is extrusion that was provided as part of the kit. But yeah, this is just super duper tight. I'm just going to take this back off completely because we may be here for a bit. We may be here for a bit doing this. And we'll definitely check the other side as well before we test fit on there. But this would be why we test fit parts. And like I said, these are inner edges, so we're perfectly fine filing these down. These will not be visible to anybody. The only one that's going to know that we took a file to this is us. So I should probably file over the garbage can versus the floor just to save me a little bit of cleanup later. And this is a decently fine file. If you've got if you need to remove a lot of material, you can use the bastard file, which would just be a coarser file base. Dang there. I'm almost wondering if this I wonder if this piece kind of warped a bit. I mean, it's still a pretty tight fit in there. Yeah, it's definitely this side here, and it prints like this. So I wonder if this may have kind of warped in a little bit. I'd be using a respirator or some type of filtration system when you're doing this as well. I mean, it is fine particulate plastic. What I'm doing now is just rocking the extrusion down through there. And the sharp edges of my extrusion are going to, we'll say, help dig out whatever material is in the way there. That'll work. Normally it just takes a tiny bit of filing to get rid of a burr or something that's in the way. This is a little bit more excessive. So now I'm starting to think that maybe I've got a tolerance issue in my print. It still seems to be this side right here that's you gonna tell everybody that I filed it? Okay. Hey, I see Steve Builds file stuff on his stream all the time. So filing is not bad. Filing is not bad. Is part of the building process sometimes. We're also making the assumption that the the file is a correct geometry as well. Now the other thing I like to do, take a brush. This is a new brush, and I just try and clean the file occasionally. And that's going to get all that buildup out of your file teeth and make it work a little bit better when you're trying to file stuff like this. The grinder makes every welder look good, right? Same type of issue here. File will make every print look beautiful. Wait a minute. So it's not this gap now, it's right down here in the very corner's edge of this that needs the additional relief. Good gracious. Should not be this difficult. Maybe I will have to reprint these parts just because it appears like this print tolerance is just shit or something. I don't know. I have never had to file this much on a part to get the damn thing to fit. I mean, I can understand, you know, a poor fitting corner or something, but good God. Is it literally just sharp corners, yet the part has rounded corners in it? So I think what I'm fighting is literally the fact that the part has rounded corners, which is better for printing and everything, but the actual, aluminum extrusion does not have rounded over corners. I'm purposely going through here at a slight angle to use the actual sharp edge of the so I don't know if you guys can tell here. Let me go to big view. Right? These are sharp 90-degree corners. Come on, focus. Right? These are sharp 90-degree edge corners. The printed part has rounded edges in it. And so I think that is what is truly causing me the issue, because once again, a quality extrusion with a 90-degree versus, we'll say, it'll be hard to tell, but these have a little bit of a rounded edge to them. They're not a full 90-degree square, as I think what I'm running into. So when we do the other one, we want to focus on getting the rounded edge out of the inner corner. But I think we're really close there. Where's my other side? Yeah. Hey, Barry Printer. Hey, Jano. We are working on cleaning up some mating surfaces. Because our uprights are not fitting well. And to be honest, the instructions told us to do this earlier, and we just didn't. So this is one of those things that's coming home to roost on us. The other thing that we're trying to do is to make sure that our corners are nice and tight 90-degree angles, because the uprights that we got in the kit do not have the slightly rounded edges that the typical Creality frame material does. So I think we're fighting some of that as to why it's so tight to get the frames to come down in here. I mean, it's definitely either some over extrusion or some shrinkage, even though I did shrinkage compensation for this. There is some just bulk material that needs to be removed because it is a little tight. Ow, dang it. And how sharp is that? Well, I just took a chunk out of my finger there. That's fun. Well, if it's not a build if we're not bleeding during the build, right? We've had to, one of our legs had the end holes drilled on both sides. The other one did not, so we had to go and drill and tap the one side. And now we're having to open up our part some and make sure that we keep the corners nice and sharp. In the process. Clean off all this excess. Like I said, it could be that I was over extruding when I was printing this. I don't think I was, but it's always the possibility. I was going through and retuning the filament before the stream this morning. So we'll just keep chugging through it. I mean, this is part of building sometimes, right? You can always go through and say, I don't like those parts, let me reprint them, but sometimes you just gotta work and make it work. I might have to go get a Band-Aid for that. What I'm doing is working this extrusion through the gap, and it should, with that sharp edge that I cut myself with, it should help whittle some of that plastic out of the way in bulk, so that it makes it a little bit easier to words on stream are hard sometimes. Should make it easier for us when we're doing our sanding. We know where we're looking at and where it's binding. Our sanding, our filing. Really hoping to get through this part. I should have checked these tolerances before the stream. We definitely got it nice and smooth. New technique for layer lines. File instead of sand. Hey Liz, how's it going? I was expecting to be doing some coffee and lube stream today. So hopefully we can still lube. Well, regardless, I will be lubing today because we soaked our parts in alcohol to clean them up, and we will have to go through and get those greased up today. Otherwise, we could have some rust start. Oh, this is annoying. I have not heard anything crack yet, which is good. It means that we haven't broken the part, so we don't have to reprint it. But with the amount of material we're pulling off, my question is would it have been easier to reprint it? Probably. But why would we do the easy way, right? And I keep checking like, oh, I'm going to switch to the file and it's just going to miraculously work. Yeah, no. We know it's not going to happen like that. We're going to have to keep doing this more. Yeah, if I'm having to file this much, I really start to question my flow and shrink calibration on these parts now. Because I don't think I've ever had to go through and file this much. Well, the garage door is going up, so that means Mrs. Dragon should be home with some coffee, so that's going to be a godsend at least. I'm like getting a bit dismayed by this because it should not be this long or this much. And all I'm doing is brushing out the plastic out of the file so that the file works better and actually is removing material. Yeah, I think it's it's the extrusion. So these particular extrusions are provided in the kit, and they're obviously slightly different profile than the Creality ones. I believe is what I'm getting. So in the process of doing this, I'm trying to also ensure that I'm keeping a 90-degree corner because the extrusions themselves have a very nice 90-degree corner to them, where a lot of times your cheaper rails will have a little bit of a rounded edge. And because these are blind joints, they're going to have to go down over the yeah, they're going down over the screw heads. So we have to have these things nice and cleaned up so that they can fit. I'm going to focus on this tab side here to hopefully just pull that out some. Hey, Shrimp Father, how's it going? As Liz. So we do have coffee. I feel Mrs. Dragon is going to be bringing me some fresh coffee here any minute. All right, let me see if I can show you this. So it's pulling this out. So it's the gap here at the base is what's causing the issue. Right? Because we're seeing a gap here. This is able to flex out some. So yeah, that is just a straight up, I may have to reprint these parts issue. Because if I press it down in there, This one I think we're close on. We're going to make these work. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go grab, want a Band-Aid to put on this, and I'm going to go grab the bastard file with the coarser teeth on it. To please walk it up there. Band-Aid, Band-Aid, Band-Aid. What do we got for small Band-Aids? All right, folks, I'll be back up there momentarily. Just throwing a Band-Aid on that cut, and then grab that coarser bastard file, and I'll be right up. All right, we'll reduce the bleeding on parts. And we've got our bastard file, which is starting to rust a little bit, but as you can see, it's got multiple different areas with a lot coarser grained teeth than what we're doing here. So we'll be able to take off more material with each pass. And then we'll use this one to refine it back down. And once again, I'm going to focus on this tab side here. Not feel like it is making progress. Hey, Timor. Yeah, oh no, I see why now it's failing. And like I said, I think as much as I'm trying to do what I'm trying to do, I think the correct answer is just to reprint. Validate my gap in reprint. Or not my gap, but I'm gonna reprint these parts. I think that is going to be the correct overall answer rather than sit here and file the crap out of things. So, what progress are we making today? Little to none, apparently. There's our mark. Little to none, apparently, because we're going to have to reprint those next parts, which also means I'm now going to be suspect to the rest of the parts that I had printed on that printer with that filament. Damn. Okay. So what can we work on if we don't have that? Let's see what's up next in the. So we're going to do that. We're going to do that. We'll have the front pieces that we put on. And these have these little spacers on them. These will be our front verticals. So these are the rear. These will be the front. And if you have custom cut extrusions, you can use 310 and not have to use the spacers. So let's see how they cut our extrusions for us. So these are 300. So we are going to have to add the little spacer onto them, which is fine. We do have those printed. And these will go on with an M5 by 20 and some washers through the spacer. And yeah, like I said, I'm just going to reprint those, and I'm going to reprint those over on the bamboo. I was able to run a calibration print over on the bamboo that I think solved some problems for me. And when we go to install these, once again, you've got your screw in there, and you've got your screw and your washer. You want it so that you can get both the screw and the washer underneath there. And this is going to line up with the end. So what I'm going to do is set this down on the table. That way, once again, this edge should all be lined up. And we'll be able to come in with our 3mm driver through the holes that we've drilled. And tighten the heads of those bolts. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and go at the edge to make sure that we're flush front to back. That's one front edge. Flush against this edge, flush against this edge. Do the same thing over here with this one. So we can get a couple of parts done today. And like I said, I'll reprint those using the X1 carbon. I was using that for the whatchamacallit, the rear plates. Oh, come on now, line up. Oh, screwhead. There we go. All right. So those two are done. We'll work on these two. We'll have to reprint those parts. Um, let's see how far we can go. What do I want to do now? So I was getting a lot of over extrusion on the X1. Not saying this is the issue. Over on the Centauri Carbons, because I did tune those, but these are now getting a lot more smoother on the top surface here. And so I will run those parts over on the X1 carbon, and maybe we'll jump and put that back panel together while we're waiting. Let me get those parts started. Those would be bottom frame, rear left 2040, yep, and rear right 2040. Logo gadget arms. Okay, so we've got these uprights put in place. I guess we can join them. We just won't have the back pieces until we redo those pieces. Right, we're reprinting these back corner pieces, so we'll have to wait on those. We can either go ahead and put in, join these to the front, or we can wait. I think we'll just go ahead and join these to the front. Because, well, why not? We'll connect like that. It's a little forward. Let me fix that one. Where are we going? think the issue there are my holes are slightly off. That's life moving west. All right. That one there, that one there. I mean, we should be able to set this up. So we'll do the 3 from the front. Uh-oh. Monkey bread. Dude, monkey bread's awesome. Monkey bread is awesome. My son used to make that all the time. Okay, this is going to use M5x12 socket heads coming in from the front. Go ahead and use my other driver for this. And we're trying to make sure that everything stays nice and straight and rigid. Nice, straight, rigid, and flat. Get all of these started, and then we'll pull it nice and tight. Ooh. Where are you going? Alrighty. So I hope everybody's doing well this fine Saturday morning. For those of you that watch college football, there's going to be a lot of games on today. Hope you get a chance to watch some of them. I know I've got a game that'll start at 12:30. There we go. And then are you getting started? Where are you at? I'm going to get 3 holes to line up. And apparently, God, I hope all of these were tapped. It would really suck if it wasn't. All right, that one's there. You unpack the rest of your stuff from Printopia? Yeah. And you got a work trip tomorrow. That sucks. There will be a college football break. Good. All right, is this thing even? It sounds like it's. All right, maybe. There we go. Buckeyes play tonight? Good. All right, that just I can't tell if that's going in or not. Like it felt like it was, but it's just not getting tight. All right, there we go. There we go. That did get tight. Okay. So we have our front done. We don't have our back done. We will redo our back once we get these parts reprinted, which I believe, is it heating up? It's not. Oh. Plate. It helps when you move it from send to actual print. Must be a sign that I need more coffee. Coffee. This is the coffee part of the coffee and lube stream. I'm going to refrain from putting the feet on because I can't do the rear feet until we get the verticals in place. So we're going to have to redo these parts. We can go ahead and take those off. Since we're going to have to swap these out with different parts. Oh, you just spilt your coffee. How's it going, Petty? Welcome in and the immediate lurk. I feel so rejected. And I'm kidding. So we'll do these parts once we get there. And this is part of our building process, as you know. 3 steps forward, 10 steps back. That's how we like to build things here, apparently. things come together, you know, because opposites attract. No, 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 no. Do not mix hardware. All right, we'll put the rubber sheet on a little bit later. What's next? Third Z-axis drive. Now here's a thought. I was thinking that we could do this. We'll do the heat press inserts. I did put the bearings in already and made sure that they were squished all the way down. We'll do the heat press inserts for these. And then we'll need both 3 and 5. I've got the 3 in there right now. Yeah, it does take a 5 because the 5 will be for adding a the pulley. That'll be for the pulley. So we'll add that there in a minute. We'll try and go through and get some things done. Like I said, we'll build the rear panel while we're doing this, because I know there will be some of the heat press inserts in that. We'll get what we can done while we got the time. I'm going to try and put this as one big stack because that will help keep things flat for putting these in. There's a nice sheet. Where'd that one go? There it is. Yeah, we'll just keep making some progress. And like I said, at some point we will just go ahead and lubricate our bearings before the end of the stream, or maybe I'll do it afterwards while I'm watching football. But I do have a football game that comes on at noon. I think I told my assistant to give me an alarm at 12:30. Oh, I'm sorry. You bought a used Ender 3V2 for this conversion to Ender 3NG. Hey, K2 Kevin. Hey, Philinux. How's it going? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am not doing a good job of paying attention to chat, am I? You go with the Ender 3NG last stream, you were watching and loved the idea, you love repurposing, hacking. Well, and that's the thing is, believe it or not, there is a ton. The Ender N3 is the most sold printer in the world, which means there is a ton of Ender 3s on the market, right? So why not do something that gives you an opportunity to start off in the, you know, with an Ender 3 and then come in and, you know, do a conversion and make something a little bit more out of it, right? So, all right, so we've got our 3 M3s on there. We need to do an M5, but we, you know, I got to let this cool down to swap over to the M5 hardware. So I'm going to kind of go forward and see if there's anything else that I have printed that we need to put M3 inserts into. And it looks like that's going to be a yes. The 3Z rod, yes. 3Z axis rod. So we need the 3 at the bottom, 1 in the M5. Oh, we've got 2 M3s to put in from the angle here. So we'll go ahead and put these 2 in. These are going to be to allow us to put set screws in. And yes, we're going to use set screws or potentially an M3 screw or a set screw to hold the rod in place in a couple of these. And this will be interesting. We're going to have to freehand this because we're going in to a round side at an angle. And there's really going to be no easy way to guarantee that we're flat. We're just going to have to hope and pray that we really are that good. The big thing here is to make sure that you don't protrude through the inside with your M3 heat sets. And if you need to, if you get any swarf or anything from those heat sets coming in, go ahead and ream this back out to make sure that your rod will fit. Our rod still fits. And then try not to put your hand right on it because it'll be hot. Got our bearings pressed in. And this is where you would start setting everything up. We can't do this just yet till we can get our rear in place. So we will be able to do that down the road. The stepper driver pulley, we'd have to put this in place around the belt. This will be easier to do once we have to build it around the belt. Otherwise, we'll have no way of getting the belt in there. We could probably get this set up. So for this, we're going to use a Z motor. And for this version for the version with 3 independent Z stepper motors, repeat this process to have all 3 done. We're not doing that. But what we are going to do is just take, I believe we're going to use the existing Z motor, and we'll just take the coupler and stuff off here and get this ready to go. Because we won't be using this, we'll be using a pulley. So that gives us another coupler that we can use somewhere else. That out of the way, those screws will pop off. These are 2mm. I'm going to be watching the Clemson Tigers play the UNC Tar Heels. It's a local game. The Clemson Tigers are up here playing UNC. So, yes. That is the plan. Okay. So we've got this. I've got the motor mount part here. I believe this is going to go on there. And which way does it go? Which way does it go? Our wires appear to be coming out that way. So bracket back goes there. The wires will be coming out, I guess, to the left side when this is mounted. And we're going to be using M3x6 hex screws. And once again, we're going through a 3D printed part, so we can't use any Loctite on this. What time is the Air Force Army game? I mean, if it's an early game, I'm assuming it's because they're playing Army out here at West Point. I will have to watch that game or keep up with the score of that game then. Yeah, is this better? I just realized that the... There we go. Oh, Air Force Navy. Gotcha. So if it's a morning game, then once again, it would be over here at Annapolis. Then if it's the Navy, if it's an afternoon game or an evening game, then it would be at the Air Force Academy. So there we go. That looks nice. We can go ahead and prep our M4x8 socket heads, except, oh wait, we have, we'll have this prepped and ready. It will go on this rear frame, but we can't mount that yet because we're not using hammerheads. We're using rolling T-nuts, which is what came in the kit. We can't put the pulley on yet either because we have, you know what I'm going to do is I think I've got some M4 T-nuts or hammerheads. If I've got some M4 hammerheads, then I will go ahead and prep that. Do I have M4 hammerheads? M3, M5. Huh. That's going to be a negative. Unless I have one in the kit itself or one just kind of hanging around. So I have a few here that are of unknown origin. So I'm going to grab an M4 by 8. Grab an M4 by 8 and see if it threads in either one of these. And if it does, then we'll go ahead and do our thing. We got at least one. It's an M3. I got a couple of M3s, one M4. I need at least one more M4 hammerhead, which is interesting because I normally have a bunch of Creality M4 hardware. I just don't know. Yeah, I've got bolts. I don't have any. I have no M4 hammerheads. I mean, I guess really I just need these in there in captive, right? Because I think the reason we're doing that is we have to put these in first because when we do the pulley, it will become captive. And I just realized that this motor, this Creality motor here, is smooth. There's no D shaft on this. That one's smooth with a pressed on one. This, all right, the extruder motor has a D shaft. The X motor is got a pulley on it. So we won't use the Creality motor. We will use, what do I got for motors over here? What do I got for motors? Okay. What do we got for motors? Some cables. Oh, look, we got some roll-on. There's some stepper-on lines. There's an LDO. Big boy. Couple of honey badgers. Well, that's nice. These are honey badger 42, 48 HS 2018s. What came in the kit? 42 HS 48 2504 4A. Okay. Shall we stick with a honey badger? Let's stick with a honey badger. It's got a D shaft on it. It's a little bit thicker than normal. Might actually have to go with one of the roll-on ones just because it's a tad bit smaller. Like we'll lose some Z height, I think, if we go with the bigger one. Oh, it's starting now? Yeah, it's a noon game. Okay, so it's the same time as my other game. Okay, I would like to use the honey badger, but I don't want to. Ooh. I think we might have found some options. We might have some options. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. Is we're going to do the we'll do the whatchamacallit, the roll-on motor. Set that over there. Because once again, it does have a D shaft on it, which will make life easier doing our pulley. You can do a pulley on a round motor, but I prefer not to. Oh yeah, we got a part shop in the workshop, that's for sure. All right, so let's get our motor lined up in the same direction. So when we unscrew this, we just lift it and shift it. Yeah, I am not wanting for bench stock, that is for sure. And pretty soon, I won't be wanting for bench stock either because I'll be stocking some of this stuff. As soon as I can find a suitable storefront location, which, like I said, I'm hoping to find it and secure it this month, next month, so that we can start the initial build out and things in November, December time frame and start hooking up some deals with various manufacturers to stock parts here in the local area. And I'll, of course, ship online and stuff like that. The good thing is that means there's a Creality motor that can go over here in the bucket. We'll put one of these in there. Whoops. Put an M4x8 there, an M4x8 there. And we'll see. I think I might be able to get to these. If they come out with a pulley on there, then we're good to pop those back out, and we'll add the pulley when needed. Is this the pulleys from the kit, or is this... Let me double check here if these are the pulleys from the kit or if those were the pulleys that I had that were, spare part pulleys. Oh, I've got pulleys in here, so those are not the pulleys that I needed. These would be the pulleys that I need. We'll have three, one for the Z and then two for the A and the B. Now I will set those right there. Grab our 2 millimeters so we can get Loctite on our set screws. Yeah, I do have an alarm set at 12:30 so I can stop and go watch the game. I was hoping that something would arrive in the mail before the end of the stream, but I don't think it is, so I'll have to post pictures. Which way are we going? It's that side down. Eh? Did it not have a... Okay. Looks like it does not have a distance listed. So we'll just kind of make it till we fake it type thing. And it does look like I will be able to get to those screws, so I'll just leave those out for now. And I'm also just going to basically line this up with the end of the shaft. It didn't give me a location yet, so I'm assuming that we'll get a height at some point. So I thought I saw one. I'm going to hold off on putting our vertical rods in as well. We can start looking at the XY gantry. I do have some of those parts available. And I think there's some heat presses that are going to go in here, so we can go ahead and do some of those while we're waiting. And I'm going to focus on the heat set inserts. We see fives. Okay, there's some threes. So on these parts, they print in this orientation. And there is a print in place support right there. It's got an X on it that tells you it's not needed. So just snap that off. Okay. Same thing on the other side. Snap that off. We'll clean up any of these holes that we need to with a file or whatever. So these will be our Ys and our X joiner. This will be our rear carriage. It looks like we need to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 M3 heat set inserts in here, so we'll do that. Basically, I'm going to try and go through and do the 3s on the stuff that I can, and then we'll come back and do, we'll cool things off and we'll do the 5. Once again, we always get these close, and then we'll push them in the rest of the way to make sure they're nice and flat with the bottom surface. That way we ensure that when we go to screw something into them, whatever we're screwing in is going to go in nice and straight. And we won't have any issues or potential cross-threading or stripping of the insert. And I believe these ones here are probably going to get grub screws that go in and lock the LM8 UU bearings in place so that they don't rotate or swivel. This is going to be our actual X carriage right here. This will be our X carriage, and then our two XY joiners. I'm just going to make a quick look. And 5, that. Okay, there we go. We did have 4 on the other side of this. We do have a provision there for the X in stop. Go ahead and put these 4 together. Once we get this one in, we'll go ahead and get ready to call it quit for the day. Like I said, I do need to lube those bearings, and that's going to take a little bit because while I do have the 8mm bearing greaser tip on my super lube tube, I'll have to do just one side and then the other of the long LM8 LUU bearings that will go in here. So I have to do one side, then the other. Do that for each one. Should get us fairly well greased up. And then we can start setting that stuff up. You'll want to grease it before you insert these. And then when we get done, we can start working on the top frame. So one thing I do want to show you is this part that goes across right here at the back is a two-piece printed part. And I have had failures on this twice now. And everything's printing nice because it prints in this orientation. And everything is printing nice until we get to the top. And for whatever reason, that top is curling up and going like crap. Even though I literally did supports all the way up this thing, and it's got a print in place support triangle right here, it's still curled up, and it did it on both pieces. I was trying to see if I could, heat it up and straighten it, and that's not going to work. That is a crapped up piece, and it broke. So I'm going to have to reprint these, and this next time, this is being printed on the Centauri Carbon, and I don't think this has anything to do with the Centauri Carbon, but I will try and reprint this on the Bamboo Labs and see if I get the same type of issue with it. Like I said, everything else I've been printing has been on the Centauri Carbon, and it's worked perfectly fine, so I don't know what's going on there. So we'll look into that. I'm going to go ahead and cool this off. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and stop the stream here. And what I'm going to do off stream, I'm going to let this cool off. I'll swap it out for the M5 heater piece. And I'll go ahead and do the M5 heat press inserts that are required in our XY joiner and this piece. And I'll go ahead and do any other heat set inserts that I have for any of the parts that I currently have printed, which are things like our back mount. Actually, let's look at this. Let's do the overhead. We're agreeing that these are garbage, so I'm just going to throw those away. I'll scoot this out of the way. These are garbage. I'll move this stuff up here. Get this out of the way. Put this stuff up. Actually, I should probably do heat sets in this before I go too much further. So many more heat sets and gantry framing or gantry squaring and stuff. Here we go. So how are we looking? E. There we go. That is what our pieces are going to look like when we get them all together. It's going to be ENG. Now I printed these, and of course, then I found in one of the other pieces, whenever I went to try and make this the alternate color so the honeycomb pops, if you can see here, there aren't closures on this. So it does the whole thing. And I did find there is one in the extras that would allow me to basically do the honeycomb inserts and the E3 and G all as one piece. I think what I'm going to do is put all of this together and then see if that's something I want to do. It's just a couple of heat set inserts. We'll glue this, and I may do a second one, but I need to wait and make sure I have enough filament to be able to reprint these, adding that, the full honeycomb texture back there. So on this piece, what we're going to be doing is there are a few heat set inserts, M3 size, that go in here. So let me pop those in real fast. There'll be 2 right here, and this will be, I think, for the bed cable to go through. And then 3 over here. So we'll go ahead and do these heat press inserts in while we have our M3 heat set or press here. And give me a chance to chat for just a tad bit more and ask you guys, can one of you please be so kind as to look for a raid target for us to raid into? I feel so bad that the last time we raided, I raided into Zombie and Zombie was not streaming. And I did that because my laptop had died. Alexa, stop. And I just feel bad that we raided in and nobody was there. So if somebody can confirm a potential raid target for us, that would be huge. Well, I go ahead and start getting these inserted. Really what I want to do is slide this down there and see which way I like the back plate. I think I'm going to like this where it's a little bit more subdued, but we'll see. All right, which way do you go? All right. You're going on that side. I think I'm going to have to... in that overhang blob just a tiny bit. And the reason I'm laying it out like this and flipping it over is, as you can see, there's some kind of gaps in the middle, and that's where we're going to glue some strips in to line everything up. Got 3 more heat presses to put in. Heat sets. If I knew you were here. Oh, there's Pez Liz. Bricks O'Brien or Way Cool Wood. Okay. Um, I'm trying to think if I follow Bricks. I might not be following Bricks, but I know Way Cool Wood I am. Yeah, Liz normally lives in the stream because she's following multiple people. Okay. So we'd have something like this. What we're going to do, check all of our edges and make sure that all of our edges are lining up. Give a light little hit of each edge. And that should help everything line up nice and neat. Be careful of the thin edges. There we go. And then once again, these pieces have like a key to them. There's a short one. There's a long one that has the two pieces in it. It will go like that, and this one will line up with these three holes that go across the side. Then you'll have these two thinner strips, and these are going to go across right here and kind of bring everything homogeneously into one. And these, of course, go in a specific way because they have a beveled edge on the one side to go on this bevel here. So basically this is what we're, darn it. There we go. This in theory is what we're trying to do. We will be gluing all of this in. And so I will work all of that off stream to make sure that I get it nice and aligned and glued in the right place. And yeah. And then what we'll do is we'll be screwing into the backs here through the den rail with these little cover clips that'll go through the den rail and connect everything into a single piece back here and make it fairly rigid that way. All right. And with that, I am truly going to call it quits. Quit. You said Bricks O'Brien, so let me go ahead. I'm just going to highlight that, and hopefully Bricks O'Brien, you did spell that correctly. So I'll do a /raid, and let me double check. Let me double check. Bricks O'Brien, there we go. All right, we're getting a raid started to Bricks O'Brien. Thank you all for being here and hanging out with me this morning. Sorry, this is the way builds go, especially over here on stream. We got some pieces that work well, some pieces that don't. We'll make it all work out in the end. But thank you all for being here, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next stream, which should be on Tuesday morning, or excuse me, not Tuesday morning, Tuesday evening. I will see you guys then. I don't anticipate an early stream, but you never know. I stream various times sometimes, but standard is Tuesday, Thursday, and then Saturday. Sorry, Liz, we did not get to the lube portion of stream today. I will be doing that though, because I need to get some grease on those parts. Thank you everybody for being here. Have a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye now. And for those of you watching this on YouTube, thank you for sticking around. If you like what you see, please feel free to hit that like button down below. And while you're down there, go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you can see future builds. And when you do that, be sure to check that bell so that YouTube will notify you of future videos. Speaking of other videos, YouTube's going to be suggesting one right here. Thank you, and have